Let me show you what a Mediterranean style potato salad looks like.
That looks very vibrant.
I use whichever onions I have. Obviously, I've used purple onions here today because, again, they're rich in anthocyanins. And I've also used Desiree potatoes today, and I'll just stab one to show you. Here's the little pink skin. So keep the skin on when you can. Often, you know, potatoes are peeled when you make salad because sometimes the skin comes off. But when you're cooking for home, it really doesn't matter. But the interesting thing here as to why this makes potatoes so healthy in this dish is, one, it's pre-cooked, it's cooled, it's used the next day. So you form this resistant starch. It means it's going to have a lower glycemic index and also feed the good microbiota in your gut. Two, we've added a lot of extra virgin olive oil. Now, what does extra virgin olive oil do to the glycemic index? It also dampens. Right. Three, usually in the Mediterranean, they will either add a bit of vinegar, okay, or a bit of lemon juice. And which when you add that, which also dampens the glycemic response. So if you've got a dish with potatoes and you've got beautiful extra virgin olive oil and you've got an acid like vinegar, you know, and you've got these cooked and cool potatoes, this is not going to be a high GI dish as, for example, if you were just to mash potatoes and eat them hot, cooked. We're talking about completely different things, you know, and it's really fascinating because even, you know, some people would be concerned about consuming, say, gnocchi. To make gnocchi, you've got to mash the potato, right? But gnocchi is, again, quite a complex food. And a lot of our composition tables, even with regards to the glycemic index, have not measured a lot of these differently, you know, traditionally cooked dishes. There was a study published looking at gnocchi, or potato dumplings as they call them, and they found that the GI was not high. It was about 53, okay, when compared to glucose. This is not high GI. When they looked at the starch molecules using electron microscope, they found that the starch was more compact. So something's happening in that cooking process. So there are many such foods that might have been consumed traditionally, and you just can't tell by looking on the outside and guessing what's going to happen. You have to test them.
And so I guess to that point, I mean, glycemic index is one measure as part of many other ways to evaluate the nutritional value of food. And as dietitians, we know that. And I think that's, unfortunately, that's sort of gotten out there with the everyday person, and they see that some potatoes may have a higher GI, but as you said, there are so many ways that you can reduce the GI with other foods, and of course choosing other foods like you know, other types of potatoes, and obviously the way you cook them also impacts the GI. So I think that's
right. That's right. And the other thing is, Jemma, I couldn't help but remember what a good friend of mine and dear colleague, Professor David Jenkins, who's the father of the glycemic, said to me many years ago. He said, don't forget it's the whole meal. We often forget that. People just focus on these single foods. So if you have, say, potatoes in the context of a lentil soup, which is how they would have been eaten, this is a low GI meal. Okay, you know, you can add other foods to the meal or other ingredients, as we mentioned, the olive oil or the vinegar. It's the glycemic response or the impact of the meal, and also of all the meals during the day. That's most important. So these combinations, knowing what to put with what, you can safely include potato in your diet. If you know how to cook it and what to team it up with, you know, will further drop the glycemic response.